Welcome to Southern Orthopedic PrepZone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon.
Hey guys, welcome in. James Phillips, Johnathan, Bentley, Brian Hale. This is the DME Game Time. Guys, this week, Sumiton Christian is our focus. We haven't been there yet this year for Game of the Week, and they've really turned around and up to 3-3 now on the year. Really probably should be 5-1.
Could easily. They lost 2 games by 2 points. And the Victory Christian game was close.
Right.
This is a better than their record top team.
Definitely so. Brian, you were able to go over there to practice and talk to Coach and some of the kids. What's your thoughts on just seeing the way they're doing things?
Well, I think one thing that it boils down to is unity. That's what I heard a lot from the kids. This is a much more unified team, and they've basically stressed that from the time of preseason workouts all the way up to this point. It's a more unified team, obviously a lot more experience. They understand what Coach Powell expects from them now. And I think also, look, they haven't had a chance to clinch a playoff berth since 2016. I think they're hungry for that. So I think it's unity. I think it's much more experience. And I also think it's hunger.
Right. That's kind of what we talked about with Sumiton. You guys went out there for practice. One of the groups that have really stood out for them has been their line play. Mm-hmm. Even though these guys are smaller than most lines they come up against, they've really fought hard and they've opened up holes, and they've moved the ball a lot this year.
Yeah, if you look at them, you would never expect that if you just lined them up. But, you know, Cordova used to have these teams that had no size or they were a lot smaller, but they were really good. Right. And now that kind of reminds me of what some of the Christians, he's building something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And these kids have actually taken it to heart now. Yeah. It was a rough year last year, and now they're having fun.
Right, yeah. Well, hey, let's go and hear from a few of the players that you guys talked to and hear about how they've turned the season around and how fun it is to be on the line and kind of smacking up against other guys every Friday night. So let's check that out now.
Sumiton Christian sits at 3-3, having crisscrossed the state and won key region victories. Most importantly, the Eagles are in contention for their first playoff spot since 2016, along with a change in mindset, more experience under second-year head coach David Powell, and the will to see their program take its next steps to prominence, lies the work of the Sumiton Christian offensive line, whose efforts are credited throughout the team as a catalyst for the change. 2 of the line's leaders, Cameron Wright and Jake McDonald, have taken pride in the development of the program from preseason workouts to tonight's Class 1A Region 7 bout with Appalachian, highlighting team unity as a key factor.
And I think it started this summer. Everybody showing up to workouts and being more of a team, being more apart. And actually, we mesh better this year than we have in the last few years, and that thing that's helped us with more want to this year than anything.
Really just being a team, like working together and playing as a team and not as a separate unit.
From August 21st to September 25th, Sumiton Christian has had only 1 home game, traveling throughout the northern half of the state, a road schedule few teams in any classification have had to experience.
I think that playing on the road so much gave us an advantage because we know what it's like to play on the road, playing far away, not have as many fans with us cheering us on. And we really had to play our game and it's going to be another game for us.
I think it helped because when you're at home, you feel like you have the advantage. When you're at home, when you're away, you feel like you've already started late. So it kind of gets you thinking that you got to play even more harder because you don't have the advantage.
As a senior, Wright has felt the sting of losing seasons with no playoffs to end the year, a trend he wants to see ended in his final season with the team.
Pretty good. I wouldn't want to graduate with any other football team. If I had to pick, it wouldn't be anybody else that I played with. So.
Oh yeah, it's been a big goal of ours. Go to the playoffs, get back in them, and we got a pretty good shot this year. It's shocked a lot of people in the school and the county that from seeing us go 1-9, and actually being in it for playoffs. I think it shocked a lot of people. And we knew it from the summer. We were going to have a good team. We're going to have a good season.
Welcome in, everybody. James Phillips here. It's a late night at the Desert Mountain Eagle studio. Brian Hale, how's it going, man?
And comes out with a 1-point double overtime win, 35-34. The Vikings remain undefeated.
One of the assistants told me I think they're 5 points away from being 4-1.
corner just completely turned for Oakman. They came out in the second half. They scored 20 points on 5 plays.
Cordova makes the playoffs. Who would have thought in week 5 that we would have said the Cordova Blue Devils are going to reel off 4 straight wins and clinch a playoff berth?
Well, I just think the first half was really, Hale got after. I mean, they were playing with a little bit more effort and toughness,
just glad to catch it. Good, it was a good throw. Won the game.
All right, we're back. You heard from the Sumiton Christian players there. Brian, we've kind of segued from hearing about their players, hearing from them, to talking about our player of the week for this week. How about you drop it to us? Who's the player of the week?
Well, it's quarterback Cody Hedrick from Cordova. Had a marvelous game. Was even in a loss, which was a very slight loss, 28-21. He was fabulous. 12 of 20 passing, 216 yards, threw 3 touchdowns to 3 different receivers. Line gave him plenty of time. Really a great all-around game for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's outstanding. Johnathan, you've seen Cordova a couple times. They're still struggling to get a win, but they've got a few guys like Hedrick who's putting up some pretty good numbers.
Yeah, he leads the area by a wide margin. I mean, they do throw the ball a lot. That's their offense.
Right.
They've come so close this year. I just like to see them get over the hump, see what they could do.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of a rough year going to 5A for the first time ever.
That's true, yeah.
So this is kind of building up to next year, I would say. But he's had a good year, really, and a great game last week.
Well, Brian, you went to Cordova to catch up with Mr. Hedrick. Let's see what he had to say about being this week's player of the week.
This week, we have another great performance against Winona. He completed 12 of 20 passing for 216 yards with 3 touchdowns. He connected with his receivers on passes of 12, 30, and 45 yards. It's 3 wide receivers, of course, that helped him out with the game. Adam O'Rear, Correa Killings, and Caden Airmore each had a touchdown for him. Ladies and gentlemen, Cordova's Cody Hedrick. Cody, congratulations.
Thank you.
Let me just ask you first and foremost, how's the cohesiveness between your wide receivers gone this year? Have you just noticed it's just grown and grown each as the weeks go by?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've improved a whole lot this year, for sure.
Your offensive line, obviously a big factor in all this, giving you guys plenty of time not only to keep the defenders off of you, but chances to see those guys out there on the outsides. What can you say about your offensive line and their work?
Oh, I give big thanks to my offensive line every practice, every game, because they give me the time to make a big play.
Obviously, this week coming up, a very big region game on the road. It's being moved up a little bit. How's the preparation going? How you guys think things are looking going into the game against Carver?
Oh yeah, we're ready. Our word of the week is attack, and we've been preparing, so we're gonna go out there and attack.
Well, congratulations once again, Cody. We certainly appreciate you taking your time, and good luck against Carver on Thursday night.
Thank you.
Southern Orthopedic Prep Zone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon. Presented by Kilgore Green Funeral Home, Nelson, Bryan and Cross, Bank of Walker County, Jasper Main Street, Southern Orthopedic, and Carl Cannon.
Hey guys, we're back. Hedrick there had a great game. That's the only thing we're not talking about Sumiton Christian this week, is player of the week was from Cordova, right? Mm-hmm. You guys had a chance to sit down with Coach Powell at Sumiton Christian. He, being a guy that's came from a big program like McAdory, that was successful. I think they went to the playoffs almost every year he was there. To come to Sumiton Christian, I thought that would be an interesting story to hear, what's the differences and how it's been taken over this program. You sat down with him and talked some. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, he was at McAdory for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
When Sumiton Christian got him, it was kind of a coup. I mean, nobody saw that coming.
Right.
And it's been, what a great hire.
Yeah.
I mean, coaches, schools around here would love to have a coach with that kind of resume.
Yeah.
And it's been a slow process, but they're moving in the right direction.
Well, to me,
with a coach like that, it's going to happen.
It reminds me a lot of Sumiton Christian in their early days in the High School Athletic Association when they had Dave Campbell as their head coach. As an older guy who's proven himself at places, and then he comes in the kind of the twilight of his career and having some really good impact on a program that needed that.
Yeah, those were Sumiton Christian's best years.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of what Bill Griffin did at Sumiton Christian.
Right.
Came in, took him to the regional twice, that kind of deal. And Powell's got the resume where these kids are going to believe it. You know, they're going to believe in him. He knows his stuff. And it's just a matter of time before they're
we all love Coach Griffin, but I don't think Coach Powell's near as grumpy as Bill, right?
No, not even close. Even winning, it doesn't matter.
I hope he's watching this because I hope he did hear that. We love Coach Griffin.
Yeah.
All right, Johnathan did sit down to talk with Coach Powell, talk about his impact on the Sumiton Christian program. Let's hear from him now, and then we'll be back with our picks for this week.
All right, Coach. Great year. Great start to the season. We're in playoff contention here. This team was 1-9 the last 2 years. What do you attribute the turnaround to this season?
Well, first of all, we got a long way to go. We have had some success, but you know it is a long way to go in the season, and so I would say my focus was. From the very beginning was just getting these guys to play hard and play aggressive, and they've done that. Our defense is playing really solid football. We're tackling better, and winning has helped. You know, it definitely has sparked a lot of enthusiasm, but you know, we got a high ceiling, a lot of room for improvement. And like I said, this is a big one tomorrow night against Appalachian. As far as a lot of different scenarios, but you know, this was a big one as far as helping our chances getting the playoffs anyway.
Okay, they said some of the players said this was a passing team. Is that going to be a little different for y'all?
Going to be a little different. They've got some quality wins. Most of these guys played last year, and they beat Southeastern last year. They beat Victory Christian. They beat Cold Springs last year. Those are all 3 quality wins. A lot of these guys are back. Quarterback's back. A lot of the receivers are back. So they are the best throwing team we faced this year. So it's going to be a challenge. They can run it good too. Their quarterback is outstanding. They got good skill guys at every position. So it is going to be a big challenge for us.
Well, talk about the attitude change this year. Can you tell a difference with the guys and their mannerisms and the way they walk around?
Probably so. You know, I'm just trying to keep it real simple in my head and real simple approach. You know, play hard, do your job, and then do it again. You know, and that's just kind of been my approach. And the thing about it is when the guys have success, then, you know, that kind of leads to them, you know, wanting more of that success. And there's nothing really like a winning locker room in football. And so it's great to see the guys happy and smiling and their hard work paying off. But it's like I said, we have a long way to go. And we have a high ceiling. We can get a lot better.
Okay, so you had, I believe it was over 30 years at McAdory?
36.
Second year at Sumiton Christian. What's the biggest difference? Aside from the size difference, what's the biggest difference?
Just by my nature, my competitive nature. It's really a lot of similarities. Football is football. It's a 100-yard field, and when we do good things, I'm extremely happy. And the flip side of that, when we do bad things, I'm extremely disappointed, or, you know, angry, whatever the word is. But my emotions, you know, go with how we're performing. I take it personal to try to improve every player's skill set and the team to play hard. But the difference is, yeah, it's smaller. It's a smaller number of players, smaller staff, but it's still the same grind workload. And I love football. I love studying our opponents. I love, challenging our players, trying to help them get better. So it's been a great journey. This is really a good school, outstanding environment, great education, great extracurricular sports going on here, boys and girls. So it's really we've actually got a waiting list, I think, to get in some of the younger grades. So I think a lot of people are looking at us now.
So talk about some of these seniors and what they've meant to this turnaround this season.
Well, the seniors have hung in there is the biggest thing. They didn't bail out. They hung with the program through the bad times, and they've been coachable, and they've showed positive leadership. And it's so good to see those guys, having some success. And I'm proud of those guys for just hanging in there and their perseverance, and because sometimes had some good years, and like most schools, and then every now and then you'll take a little dip, and so we're trying to bring it back, and these guys are a part of it, and they're doing it. And like I said, man, we're not satisfied of where we are. We're pushing hard to get better, and we want to win a lot more games.
Who are those seniors? Just a handful, right?
Yeah, Christian Heights and Griffin Myers, Cameron Wright, Jackson Mangrum, and then we lost one in our first game, Josh Allred. He hurt his knee, so we started with 5. Still got 4 playing.
All right, good luck, Coach.
Oh, thank you. Thank y'all for coming out.
All right, you heard from Coach Powell there. Sumiton Christian has turned this thing around. And we mentioned earlier, they really, if you look at their schedule and the way the games have fallen out, they could be a one-loss team right now. And that says a lot about, the last few years at Sumiton Christian. To get to this point, you're 3-3, and they're playing a Appalachian team this week that you definitely should be favored against. We'll talk about that game in a few minutes. But how about we go ahead and start our picks for this week. Let's go to the Winston County schools first. Lamar County 3-3 at Addison 4-3.
Last week, Lamar County beat Ellisville, which is a huge upset.
Right.
If they beat Addison, I will be shocked. I mean, Addison's at home. I think they've righted the ship now that they're back in 2A, and I expect them to take care. I mean, Winston County beat Lamar County. It's just a crazy region, actually.
Yeah.
But this will be a big win for Addison. Lock up second place pretty much.
I'm going with you, too. I think it will be probably a closer game than what we would have expected, maybe, but I think Addison wins the game.
I think Addison at home is going to be the key factor. On the road, it would worry me a little bit more, but I think Addison doesn't have to take the long trip like Lamar County does, and I think that's going to play big time into it.
Right. Winston County 4-2 at Seligen 1-5. Man, it really feels good to say Winston County's 4-2 on the year. It's been a while since we've been able to say that.
I didn't expect it.
But, I got to think they're going to get this win over Seligen.
Seligen's usually good. I mean, for them to be 1-5 is shocking.
Yeah.
They're usually a playoff. They're usually swapped.
Right.
They're the 4-2 team.
Right.
So Winston County can go a long way with this win. I picked them this week.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, whatever's going on in Seligen, they're a mess right now. And Winston County's pretty much got everything standardized of what they're doing. So I think they're going to easily follow this to victory.
All right. Another Winston County. This is actually a cross-county rivalry here. Lynn 2-4 at Meek 0-6. If Meek's going to get a win, maybe this would be an opportunity, but I think Lynn will handle this one, and Lynn will move to 3-4 on the year.
Yeah, I went with Lynn. If they play their game, they should do enough to beat Meek.
Right.
Meek will move the ball, but Meek will be 0-7 afterwards.
Well, there you have it. How about Corner 3-3 at Moody 0-5? I was looking at this one, and I think Corner's going to win this one, but it'll probably be a close game, though. Every Corner game's close, it seems.
It is. I mean, games you think they'll win easily, very, very close.
Right.
kind of like last week. I mean, that was a good win they had last week against Lincoln. I picked Lincoln. Got that wrong, thankfully.
Yeah.
But Moody's winless, and, yeah, corners should win this game.
Right.
It's that Dora effect once again.
Yeah.
Every time they play Dora, it seems to bounce back. And that's what's going on. I'm with you guys. I think corner's going to get this, and we may actually see them moving their way towards the playoffs.
Right. Now, on our list, we had Curry at Northside, but that game's been canceled due to some COVID concerns with Curry. Mm-hmm. Curry will not play this week or next week due to that. Cordova, 1-5, they're on the road. They're traveling to Birmingham to play Carver. Carver's 2-5. If it's kind of a lot like the Meek team. If there's a game that might be winnable on the schedule, Carver might be one of them, but we're at the point now after they didn't win last week at Winona. I'm going with Carver in this one.
Yeah, I'm going with, it's kind of the deal we keep saying where you prove it to me first.
Right.
I mean, they have Winona. They could have beat Jackson. What was the other one?
It was John Carroll.
John Carroll. Yeah, lost by a point. So they're running out of chances. This is a chance, but I did take Carver.
Right. Hale?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I just think right now, it's like JB said, you're just going to have to prove it to me. And we know they've got the tools, but they're just going to have to put together a complete game.
Right. Now, this next one, looking at the record, Asheville 2-4 at Dora 4-2. You would think Dora might roll in this one. But checking out who Asheville's played and how they've hung in there in some games, I feel like this is an upset in the making at Dora. Dora struggled with Fultondale at times last week. We've seen them struggle to move the ball at times, seen them struggle to stop people at times. I just don't know. I think Dora is prime for an upset. I'm going to pick Dora in this one.
I'm going to go Dora, though it is worrisome to me right now. We're waiting for Dora to bounce back with a good, complete effort. We haven't seen that before the Ana game. That's how long it's been. So we need to see something cohesive, direct, and hard-hitting, and until we see that, it's worrisome.
Right.
I like to see a 28-6 game. Dora just needs to win easily for once.
Yeah.
Everything's close, and I'm predicting Dora, but it'll probably be close.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. How about we got Carbon Hill 2-4 at Oakman 4-2. Oakman is rolling. I mean, I know this is a rivalry, but it is going to be very difficult for the Bulldogs, even if they get up for this game, to stop the Wildcats' offense.
Very tough. Carbon Hill struggled this year. I mean, going into the season, I thought they were a playoff team.
Right.
And now, if they win this game, things change.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a very tough call. That's why I went with Oakman.
When they held really strong last week for a while against J.B. Pennington team, that's a very good football team. But I just don't see them having the horses to run with Oakman.
I actually think that for Oakman, this will actually be a tougher game than next week against Vinemont. I think Carbon Hill will both, A, get up for it. B, I think we're going to see Vinemont was really a one-trick pony. But I honestly think that Carbon Hill can give Oakman some problems, and I think it might manifest this week. Does that mean that Oakman's going to lose? No, not at all. But I do think that this should be typically, it should be a little bit closer than what you expect. But, guys, you're right. The offense for Oakman just grows leaps and bounds every week. Bubba Odom, we're seeing getting to be just a strong quarterback. He's got new weapons that emerge, too. So, yeah, I'm going Oakman in this, but I think it's going to be a little closer than what we might expect it to be.
Okay, before we get to our game of the week, we have one more game, and that is Jackson Olin 3-3, traveling to Jasper 1-5. There were some question marks about this game. Jackson Olin has some COVID issues, but evidently they have enough players who are negative, and Birmingham City is going to allow them to play. Both teams, I think, are very equal, especially if you take injuries out and things like that. I think Jasper probably should be the favorite in this game. Now, there's talk that Jasper may, have some guys back. I don't know if that's the case, but it would sure be good for the Vikings to pull off a win. They need one in the worst way at 1-5. I'm going with Jasper. That may just be me being a homer and having a kid on the team, but I'm going with Jasper in this one.
I actually went with Jasper, just because they're home. How many more chances are they going to get?
Right.
Now, I mean, they have lost 5 in a row.
Right.
So, I mean, it's time to end that streak.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, I just have a feeling this week.
When they have played better the last couple of weeks. They've played really well against Demopolis. And then they played really well for 3 quarters last week at Minor. And Minor's an excellent team.
There was one thing that I looked through your story last week and saw, and it's almost been a glaring point the past couple of weeks. It's penalties.
Penalties has been a big issue the last few weeks.
And that's where it concerns me the most. They have been getting really crazy, wild penalties.
Right.
And, as it stands right now, I know Preston Reed had a very good game last week.
Right.
But he's still a brand new quarterback. Still, that could be turnovers that hit. I'm going to go Jackson on this, but I hope for the Vikings they do take this.
Right,
I really do, because I think it'd be great overall for the team. And it's like you guys said, there's not a whole lot of opportunities left out there.
Well, and really, hopefully, penalty-wise, it will be better at home maybe than it was on the road at Demopolis and at Minor last week. That was let the AHSAA fine me or whatever they're going to do, but that was some of the worst officiating I've seen in years.
We're not under that rule. Right. We can say what we want to, because if the AHSA is going to come after you, we're going to get them from freedom of speech.
That's right. But it was terrible.
We will say this. At the very least, with Walker County refs, they're bad towards everybody, not just one team.
Right, yeah, I got no problem with our Walker County refs. I think they'll be fine. If they, and if they do, everyone makes mistakes. Last week, mistakes were made at key times in the game.
Was it Hamilton-like? Was it that bad?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Ooh,
it was bad. It was really bad. And I haven't been to Minor very often, so I don't know if they get that all the time, but they certainly got it last week. Okay, game of the week time. Sumiton Christian, and they're hosting Appalachian. I'm probably the only one of us that's ever been to Appalachian High School.
Probably.
Yeah, most likely.
I saw it would have been West Jefferson High School play at Appalachian in 1996.
Who won?
Appalachian High School won, because West Jefferson was terrible back in those days. But that was my first year of covering high school football.
Oh, wow.
So it was probably the second game I ever covered. But it's way out there. Like, Blount County is supposed to be close to Walker County, but there are areas of Blount County that seems like you have gone 2 or 3 states to get there.
Right.
And Appalachian is one of them. So
like Dora to Eldridge.
Right, yeah. So what do you guys think? Sumiton Christian, they're on a roll. Appalachian seems to be struggling, but you just never know. I'm going to go with Sumiton Christian. I think they pull off this win.
Yeah, I did too. The kids were saying this was a passing team, like 70% of the time. So that'll be different for them.
Right.
But Appalachian has been good.
Yeah,
they're one of these schools that's just all over the place. Yeah. One year win 10, one year win 2.
Right.
But they've got to win a game like this if they want to make the playoffs.
Right.
It's key. But I did pick them.
I really think that execution right now is in the favor of Sumiton Christian. I think they're going to take this right now. They've been through so much adversity, Jay. With all the road trips they've been on, it's looking like a crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
I think that's going to help form it up. So I'm taking Sumiton Christian.
Well, and you mentioned the road trips. Man, they have been everywhere. We've talked about that a lot. And it's good to see Sumiton Christian home. We've had a few people that were like, well, y'all are only putting a few sentences about Sumiton Christian in the paper. Well, they traveled 3 hours away, so it's difficult for us to get a lot. But this week, all access, full, 360 degrees coverage of Sumiton Christian.
Absolutely.
So everybody should be happy, right?
They deserve it.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. All right, guys, until you see me and Brian on, I guess we'll be Friday morning.
Yeah.
Because all these games are going to be on Thursday. So Friday morning, people can watch our wrap-up show because we'll take that on Thursday night.
That's right.
Until then, I'm James Phillips for the sports crew here at the DME, and we'll see you at the football games on Thursday night.